So today we're going to be talking a little bit about, thinking about college and exploring academic majors and what that might mean for you. So they've already provided a quick introduction of who we are, but just as a reminder, I'm CJ, and then I have my colleagues with me, Danielle and Lehman. And so we hope that you'll learn a lot today through some of the things that we have to offer. But first, we want to get a little bit of a sense of who we have in the room and where you all are in the process. So our first question, if you want to just chat your answers in the chat box over in the right, tell us, what do you want to be when you grow up, and what problem are you hoping to solve through that profession? Just so we can get an idea of where you all's heads are around the whole college major, kind of navigating that process. All right, we see some cool stuff coming in. Cardiologist, computer scientist, psychologist, surgeon, anesthesiologist. Oh, things all over the place. Microbiologist, gynecologist, OBGYN, engineer, urban design. Awesome. A musical engineer, registered nurse, astronaut, lobbyist. Oh my goodness. Dermatologist. I didn't even know what that was for years. Someone said they want to be a researcher to research taboo topics. Haha. Actuarial science. I literally just learned what that was like last year. So you folks are really ahead of the game. So to kind of keep that conversation going, and some of you all have kind of talked about those things in what you've shared in the profession that you're hoping to go into, but also as you prepare for your career, what are you thinking about choosing as a major when you go to college? And just be sure, like being unsure or undecided, that is an answer. Like you can be undecided. We still got some more careers coming in. Actress, middle school teacher. Awesome. So what are you all hoping to study to pursue these different careers? Cell biology. We have some undecided folks. Political science and pre-law, human biology, genetics, pre-med, bioinformatics, political science, international relations, unsure, nursing, environmental engineering, creative writing, architecture. Awesome. So it sounds like you folks have really put in time thinking about what it is you want to be and what it is you want to study. And so we thought it might be helpful for you all to hear from us a little bit about kind of our journeys to, through, and after college. So I'll start telling a little bit about myself. So when I was in high school, I really admired my math teacher in high school. And so all I wanted to do was go to college and be an Algebra 1 teacher. And so I went to college and I began college as a mathematics education major because I knew that's what I wanted. Then, first semester of college level math, I realized really soon that my very small rural high school didn't really prepare me for a mathematics curriculum at a large public research institution. So while I did well in that class that first semester, it took a lot of time and I didn't want the next 4 years to feel like that. So I participated in a minority recruitment program for accounting majors. And so I was like, you know what? Math, numbers, accounting, it makes sense. I'll switch to accounting. So I switched to accounting, took some courses, secured an internship after my sophomore year. I absolutely hated it. And so now I'm halfway through college. I needed a major, but I also needed to finish in 4 years because I was on scholarship and my scholarships would only pay for 4 years. So extending to a 5th year was not an option for me because we couldn't afford more. And so I ended up landing in marketing because it was still business based. I wouldn't lose any credits because a lot of the gen eds and stuff were the same. Well, after pursuing marketing, I went on to graduate school to pursue college student personnel, which led me to a career in higher education, which has ranged anywhere from managing an on-campus living facility for college students and now to working in admissions and recruitment. So that just goes to show you the variety of things you can do with a college education. And now I'll let my colleague Danielle share with you, or Lehman share with you a little bit about his journey.
Thanks, CJ. So as CJ mentioned, my name is Lehman Robinson, and I'm a recruitment coordinator in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at the University of Michigan. So my journey was kind of similar to CJ's, actually. So I'm a first generation student, meaning my parents didn't go to college. So kind of navigating that entire experience I felt kind of alone, but I did have some help of my high school counselors. So I applied to a large research institution as well. I was accepted through the summer bridge program, and I started college kind of with other peers who were from similar areas such as myself. Now with that, I started my first semester thinking I was going to go into business. And I took my first economics class, my first calculus class, and having no prior knowledge of economics and not having a strong foundation of math, it was very challenging during my first semester. Now with that, I used the tools at the university to help get through those courses, but I really didn't have the passion for business that I once thought I did. So I started being undecided. I started taking a lot of psychology courses, and eventually it was my junior year, and I still hadn't chosen a major. So I looked at my transcript and I said, psychology makes sense because I'm almost done with the major courses. I'm not quite sure exactly what I can do with a psychology degree. Like I didn't want to become a psychologist, but I really love studying psychology and understanding how humans interacted. So with that, I majored in psychology and graduated from the university with a degree in psychology. And then after graduation, I started working in a local high school as a college access advisor. It was through that experience of working with other first generation students, other underrepresented students, helping them navigate the college going experience so that we can help make their dream a reality. And it was because of that, I went back to school and I started working on my master's degree in higher education as well. And it's one of the big reasons that I navigated back to the recruitment and admissions world is because I really have a passion for this work and making sure that we're able to continue to recruit and admit and enroll and make sure that other first generation students succeed through college. So that's about me. We're going to go ahead and pass it over to Danielle.
Awesome. Thanks, Lehman. So I saw that everyone is from all over here. I'm actually from Columbus, Ohio. Do we have any people from the Midwest? And I am a proud undergraduate alum of Smith College, which was featured on the last College Greenlight Block Party last month, which some of you may have been here for, but it's a women's college, which was just a very different experience from Michigan, where I went to for my graduate degree in higher education and public policy. And to be honest with you, how I even got there, I couldn't begin to tell you, because when I was looking at schools as a high school student, in terms of where to go to college, I had no idea what I wanted to study. I knew I wanted to see the world. So I wanted to leave my hometown of Columbus, Ohio, and I wanted to meet people from all over, because I lived in a predominantly white community, an affluent community, went to Catholic school. And so I just wanted to be exposed to everything and anything. And when I went to Smith, this is going to date me, but I actually fell in love with the show Bones, which was about forensic anthropology. And I thought, yeah, that's me. It sounds like, you know, one of my other favorite movies, Indiana Jones. So everything I knew about college and career choices really came from what I consumed as a kid through books and TV and movies. And I took some intro to cultural anthropology courses my first semester, along with all tons of other classes, since Smith was a liberal arts college. So I got to be exposed to astronomy, and I even took a first-year seminar on midwifery, which I had no clue what that was before I had signed up for it. But I learned all about it. And yeah, I realized anthropology, which for those of you who don't know, is actually the study of people and cultures. I realized it was the perfect thing for me because I love building relationships with people. I love hearing about their stories, learning about different cultures. And I had been hoping to travel the world through that undergraduate major, but I actually found another minor in college at Smith called the Urban Education Child and Studies program. So I did some student teaching when I was an undergrad in nearby Springfield, Massachusetts. So working with students from underserved and low income communities there. And that was just wonderful for me because I loved giving back to my community. And it was just a great way for me to really put everything that I was learning in college in context. So for me, that was a really big way that I found out that I wanted to get involved with helping students find their way to and through college, and thinking more about bigger systems and specifically systems of inequality, and figuring out how do we really change the status quo so that all these underserved populations can get better access to college and actually be successful. Because for me, I identify as Latina, Asian American student, and I didn't always have a lot of resources in my predominantly white community growing up, trying to navigate the system and figuring out the college application process. So I wanted to change that trajectory for other students like me from the Midwest. And more or less, that was a very brief journey into my career, but happy to answer any more questions about that later. Great. So we have talked a lot so far about lots of different pathways, and all of you are just ready to take over the world by storm with all of your different interests and career pathways. And so what I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about was a list of skills that are actually super important to you no matter what career or major that you decide to pick. And so these skills are really have been identified as a set of really important skills by today's employers, that they are looking for in any candidate that comes through the job search for them. So really, even if you're thinking about a very STEM heavy field, things like creativity and critical thinking skills are going to be hugely important to thinking about problem solving in your chosen profession. Collaboration, so really thinking about how are you going to work with other people outside of your little corner or topic that you're studying. And even if you are a data scientist or someone who really thinks, you know, my work is going to be really independent and I work best alone, knowing how to work with others, whether that's on your team, and you could be working on a team with other independent workers, or knowing how to work with people outside of your team. That's also a really good skill to have. Collaboration can help out there. And along with that, knowing how to talk about your work and tell people why does it matter and why should they care and why should they give you, you know, money for your project. Maybe you're trying to fund a really important research project that's going to be the next best thing, or you're going to find the cure to cancer. You want to tell people this is why this matters, and you want to be able to do that effectively through writing and presentation skills. And then technology and media literacy. I would probably argue that a lot of you already know how to be very technology and media savvy, definitely more than me, as someone who grew up with things like floppy disk and really slow internet. But I think it's still important to be on top of ever-changing technology, and also just knowing how to educate and research and find credible sources. in today's media circuit, and knowing how to stay on top of the latest and greatest advances to your profession. And then last but not least, leadership. So we know all of you are here not to just find what you want to study in college, but you're really here to change the world. And so whatever you choose, you want to be able to think about a school that's going to help you really think about the leadership skills that you need to take your work to the next level and be able to lead whole teams around your mission or whatever it is that you're passionate about. And so I believe, Lehman, you're up next to talk about how students can actually think about preparing for these skills now as high school students.
All right. As we begin to transition over to the next slide, I do want to just go ahead and reiterate. So all of these skills are important. And you're definitely, no matter what you major in at the university, whatever university you choose to go to, it's going to be important to really think about how can you develop these skills as you choose your major and as you begin to really get involved in extracurriculars, even outside of your major while you're on campus as well.
Sorry, guys, the slide that's showing on my screen is not what's showing on Crowdcast, so I'm not exactly sure what's happening. So my apologies.
Not a problem at all. All right, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and change gears a little bit. We're going to begin talking about some of the academic programs and majors at the University of Michigan. So the University of Michigan does have 19 schools and colleges that make up the Ann Arbor campus. 14 of those are available to undergraduate students. However, 7 only are available to freshman students. So when you apply to the University of Michigan, you will indicate one of these specific units on your application. So we have the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, the College of Engineering, the School of Nursing, the School of Kinesiology, the School of Art and Design, the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, and the College of Architecture. Now we will begin only talking about our largest 2 schools and colleges on campus due to the nature of the time that we have with you here today. We're going to begin with the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. Now, again, the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, that's our liberal arts college and is our largest college on Michigan's campus. With that, there are more than 85 different majors and more than 100 minors to choose from, and more than 40 different languages to study. So as an LSA major, you can study within the physical, natural, or the social sciences, or the arts and the humanities. Now, if you are pre-med or pre-law, LSA is going to be a great fit for you because while we don't have those specific majors, we do have those advisors, and they are within the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. So you can meet with them one-on-one to really make sure you're fulfilling the requirements for your major, but also fulfilling the requirements that medical schools or pharmacy schools look for. Or if you are undecided, LSA is going to be a great fit for you as well because we actually don't require you to select a major on your application. When you do so on your application, you're simply indicating interest. However, you're not required to declare a major until 2 years after you begin. So you're required to declare by your junior year. Again, we're giving you those 2 years to really explore the multitude of majors and opportunities and courses within LSA before we're going to require you to go ahead and declare. Next, we're going to talk about the College of Engineering, since it is our second largest college on campus. Now, the College of Engineering has 17 different majors to choose from. They range from, next slide, please. They range from aerospace engineering all the way down to space science and engineering. Now, as a LSA as an engineering major, they are looking for at least 4 years of English in grades 9 through 12, as well as calculus, chemistry, and physics if it's offered by your school. Now, again, you will be able to select one of those majors on your application, but again, is indicating interest. You won't select your specific engineering major until your sophomore year, after you've taken your first year curriculum. That's going to include your calculus, chemistry, physics, as well as some introductory engineering courses as well. Now, we do have additional upper level programs like the Ross School of Business, the School of Dentistry, School of Education, the College of Pharmacy, just to name a couple. They are all listed on your screen here. So these upper level programs typically require you to enter through a freshman unit that I spoke about earlier, but then you have to apply for admission into one of these upper level programs for either your sophomore or your junior year. Now, more information about these upper level programs or any programs offered at Michigan can be found on our admissions website. We also have a virtual resources page for all of our prospective students where you can have a more in-depth presentation about each of these individual programs and opportunities. And I encourage you to visit admissions.umich.edu to learn more about these programs and our opportunities related to Michigan.
So as you've heard our story and you've heard Lehman talk about the many academic opportunities that are available at a place like University of Michigan or whatever school you choose to go to, just always know that college major doesn't always necessarily equal profession. And so when you go to college, really college is really setting the foundation for you to become a lifelong learner. So really be thinking about that as we go into this. So like even when, so you really need to be preparing yourself for kind of a changing global economy. So when you look at these three pictures, so, you know, before about 10 years ago, there wasn't any ride share services. So like if you wanted to get somewhere, if you didn't have a car, if you didn't have public transportation, you had to either hitch a ride with someone you knew or you had to call a taxi. But then, you know, lo and behold, someone came up with a great idea and was like, hey, there's lots of people with cars and they don't have anywhere to go. Why don't we share these rides and they can make a lot of money? So then you see Uber and Lyft. And now even at places like University of Michigan, they're now working on autonomous vehicles. And so what that means is basically these vehicles drive themselves. And before long, before we know it, these vehicles may be released to the public. And so what does that mean for, you know, the transportation industry, or even for myself? Like I mentioned earlier, I have a degree in marketing, but when I was in college, social media didn't exist until my junior year of college. So there was no curriculum around social media marketing or social media advertising. And now, if you want to advertise, you have to know things about social media to remain relevant. So it really isn't about just what major you choose in college, but really more about those skills that Danielle talked about and some of those things about continuing to learn as you go through. So even those of you who've talked about being nurses or doctors or teachers or engineers, technology and things are always going to continue to change, and you always have to be continuing to learn to stay relevant in whatever profession you choose to go into. And so now I'm going to pass it back to Lehman, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about some steps you can be taking now to prepare yourself for college.
All right, because I've seen several grade levels in the chat, ranging down from middle school all the way up into these rising seniors, we're going to go through kind of each year, year by year, your guide through high school to preparing for college. We're going to begin with freshman year. Freshman year, you want to go ahead and meet with your counselor to really plan out your high school courses. You want to take core academic courses. So that's going to be your English, your math, your social studies or social science, your science courses. You really want to make sure that your counselor knows that you are on a college prep track so that you can be electing the most rigorous courses available to you. And then you want to use the same year to really explore what you're interested in. Get involved in those extracurricular activities that are related to your interests. So maybe you're interested in playing softball in college, maybe starting to join a softball team. Maybe you're interested in engineering. Maybe getting involved in robotics can really help, really put you on a path to make sure that engineering is going to be the right fit for you. We're going to go ahead and move over to sophomore year. Sophomore year, in addition to those freshman year recommendations, you want to make sure you're staying involved in those extracurricular activities as well. And then is a good time to really start researching colleges and careers, really trying to narrow down what it is that you're interested in, what you're looking for in a college, what's going to be a good match and a good fit for you. And really, again, exploring what is it exactly that you really want to do for your career. You want to go ahead and get ready for those standardized tests as well. And then there's a good opportunity for you to find a mentor. So this mentor could be your counselor, it could be your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your aunt, literally anyone who may have went on the same trajectory that you're interested in, so that they can help you navigate not only high school, but what it means to be and work in that profession that you're interested in. Junior year, you want to go ahead and register to take the ACT or SAT. Now, I know that this looks different for the rising seniors, and that's really going to be my point for the next one, is to start researching the admissions requirements for the colleges you're interested in. Because of COVID-19, some schools may not require the ACT or SAT, or they may have different requirements surrounding those standardized tests. So it's really going to be important that a lot of you are really researching and staying up to date and getting the most up-to-date information regarding the SAT or the ACT requirement for the college that you are interested in as it relates to COVID-19. And again, you want to take those more challenging courses as well. So taking some AP classes, maybe electing dual enrollment. Again, really challenging the coursework at your high school can help make you a competitive applicant for admission purposes. Then go ahead and getting some leadership opportunities, maybe becoming a president, vice president of NHS or the student government, or whatever organization that you're involved in. Start taking those leadership opportunities because they can really help your application as well. And senior year, once you are into your senior year, you want to go ahead and start applying to college. Please, please, please do not wait until a month before you graduate from high school to begin thinking about college. Really, applications become available mid-summer to early fall for the next class. So your applications should be going live at least by August of this year, if not sooner. So again, you really want to research the college admission requirements and the application processes for the schools that you are interested in. Apply more to more than one school. Highly recommend that. So I typically tell students to apply to at least 3 schools. So you apply to your match, the school where you're for sure you meet the GPA and the ACT requirements, like that's your safety school. And then you apply to the REACH school, the school where you don't quite meet the requirements, but you never know. Again, the holistic review process and looking at your academic record is much more, looking at your application is much more than your academic record alone. And then apply to one community college as well in your local area, just because you never know what can happen between the time you hit submit and graduate from high school to that fall semester. Again, you want to just make sure that you have at least 3 types of schools in your back pocket just in case anything happens. And then apply for financial aid. So looking for scholarship opportunities can begin on your school's, your interested school's financial aid website. You can look in your local community for any local-based community scholarships. Complete the FAFSA and as well as the CSS profile. Now, I encourage all students, no matter what your income level is, to complete the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Why? Because there may be money sitting out there that you may not know you qualify for, and you won't know if you qualify for it if you don't complete that FAFSA form. Also, many schools are beginning to require the CSS profile as well. So the CSS profile will look at how much institutional aid you may qualify from that specific institution, whereas the FAFSA will tell you how much money you may qualify for from the government. And of course, beware of senioritis. So that's one thing I can't stress enough. I know with things like homecoming, prom, and graduation, there's a lot of fun things happening, but your academics are still very, very important. So beware of senioritis. You can celebrate graduating from high school, come June, July, and early August before you head off to that university. But please don't start celebrating too early.
So now we're going to transition over into our Q&A portion. So we are going to try and field some questions from the Ask a Question box. So it may be very difficult for us to keep up with the chat. So we're going to try to do our best to make sure we answer all of you folks' questions.
I do have a couple of questions that I was able to pick out related to majors. We have a really great question. I might let Lehman answer this one. How difficult is it to double majors? So this is for all of our overachievers out there or people who maybe just want to go for it.
So I actually saw that question, and that's one that stuck out to me as well. So at Michigan specifically, if you want to double major within the same college, so if let's say you're interested in the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, within that college, I can major in psychology as well as biology if I wanted to. Why? Because it's within the same unit at Michigan. So what will happen is you would need to meet with two different academic advisors. So your academic advisor for psychology and your academic advisor for biology. Again, this could take 4, maybe 5 years if some of the courses don't really align because they are two very different majors, but it is possible. Now, is it possible to major to double major in two different schools? It's certainly possible, again, but you will have to apply to that separate school, get accepted, and again, that could look a little different as far as more than 4 years, just because each school or college at Michigan has their own prerequisites and their own requirements to graduate from their programs.
And I will just add on, generally speaking, especially because we're talking about building all these different skill sets, and that really it doesn't matter what you choose as your major, since that doesn't necessarily equal what your profession is going to be. Picking a double major is a really big undertaking. So just make sure if you are going to look at doing something like that, that it's doable for the two programs you're looking at. But no, it's a really great way to just look like someone who has interdisciplinary background, especially as you're applying to jobs. And it can be a way to really marry two interests for you. So like I had mentioned in my own college journey, I had really wanted to study anthropology, but instead of choosing a culture to focus on, I actually decided to focus on urban education and using anthropology as the lens in which to study relationships between students and communities and schools, and figuring out, how to really look at solving this issue, or at least working towards decreasing the gap for college access and student success. So I would mention that just to keep in mind. It can be hard to juggle, but definitely doable and can have some great payoffs if you have a lot of different interests like me.
Yeah, and I saw over in the chat where people were asking, like, if you don't want to do a double major, can you do a concentration and different things like that? And so that answer is going to differ at every place that you go to. But generally, any college that you choose to go to, like, you're going to have your major courses, but then you're going to have a variety of other courses within your degree program that you can choose to take. And you absolutely can explore other areas, whether that be through a formal program like a double major or dual degree or a minor, or if that's, taking, maybe you are just interested in learning a little computer programming and you want to take a couple computer programming classes. You can absolutely do that, because one of the things some of my colleagues say is that, like, if you're working at, a finance firm, if the computer systems break down, they're not going to say, oh crap, who has a computer science minor? They're going to say, who can fix the computers? And if you have that skill, like, that's what's going to be most important, rather than what it says on your diploma. I also saw a lot of questions, and I think it's very important to address a lot of questions about like financial aid and scholarships. And I know Lehman definitely talked about, filling out those FAFSAs and CSS profiles. And so I want to address it a little bit in that I would say the University of Michigan does a really awesome job with our need-based financial aid. And so University of Michigan is a very selective institution. So when it comes to merit-based aid, there are some merit-based scholarships, but they are very competitive in nature. And that also is going to vary by what academic program that you choose, because there are scholarships that are available from the general university, but then each academic unit also has their own scholarships that they award. And since I know that a lot of students here in this group are from underrepresented minorities. I know our Alumni Association has the LEAD scholarship, where they also offer scholarships specifically to students who identify as Black, Latinx, or Native American, Hawaiian Pacific Islander. So that's something to keep in mind, but it's gonna vary greatly by every student, especially at a place like University of Michigan, even with a specific GPA and a specific test score that doesn't guarantee you a particular scholarship. It really is a holistic review in determining who gets what funding. I also want to add, I'm sorry. I'll add to that. I highly, highly encourage you to apply for private scholarships. And so, because those scholarships allow you to go anywhere. So for me, I graduated from both college and graduate school with zero debt. However, my undergraduate institution only gave me $3,000 a year, but I had enough private scholarships to cover my entire undergraduate education, where after my tuition and fees and housing were covered, I actually got money back. Like, I'd never seen that much money in my life. I actually bought a car with the money I got back from my scholarship. So I encourage you, look on the College Greenlight website, check out FastWeb, do all of those things, because that way having the private scholarships gives you the opportunity to choose where you want to go to college, and you don't have to make the choice based on where you can afford to go.
That is amazing, CJ. I I should have taken some tips from you when I was applying to college. I didn't know that fact about you. But I just wanted to add on super quickly to that as a pro tip, when you're doing your essays and your supplemental essays through the Common App or Coalition app, whether it's for Michigan or elsewhere, you really want to make sure that you're talking about some of those identities that CJ had mentioned. So if you're Latinx, or if you're a first-gen student, or you're coming from a low-income area, make sure to talk about those experiences as much as you're comfortable, because some schools will actually not have a separate scholarship process. So as they're reading your essays, sometimes they will scan for that, and they might say, wow, this student would be a really great person to reach out to, and they might forward your application to someone else at the university. So every school is different, and I would definitely encourage you all to ask about it like you are now. But I did want to put that plug out there, because I know sometimes, like when I was in high school, my mom was super proud about being Puerto Rican, and I was like, all right, enough already. I don't want to talk about being Puerto Rican. We get it. We're families from Puerto Rico, or maybe you come from like a community where it's predominantly low income community. You might think, what's like so special about having that experience if everyone around me has it? But we do want to hear about your unique story. And so I want to just really reiterate to make sure you do that.
All right.
Okay.
Adding a couple of links in the chat. I added a link for the LEAD scholarship that CJ spoke about. And I see a lot of conversation happening around AP and IB credits. So I put the guidelines for the University of Michigan within the chat as well. And I see another question about the honors programs. So the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts does have an honors program. You do apply for the program after you submit your application to the university. And the College of Engineering also has a program as well. And I'm going to provide both of those links within the chat for you.
We also had some good questions about extracurriculars and how those might relate to your major. So especially right now that we're in COVID era, or maybe some of you have responsibilities where you have a full-time or part-time job, or you have to take care of family, and you may have a lack of extracurricular involvement. How would you talk about that on your application? And I don't know if CJ or Lehman, if you had any thoughts about that you wanted to add.
I think I'll let Lehman take, so it'll be more general.
So, okay, we're talking about extracurriculars and listing those on your application, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, generally, and I think this is across the board for no matter what school you're applying for. Many schools use the common application, so you can literally list like up to 12 or 13 extracurriculars. So I would say family responsibilities. If you have a large family responsibility, especially given COVID-19, you're helping take care of a loved one who's sick, or you're caring for your younger siblings, definitely highlight that as part of your extracurricular involvement. You can list that under your family responsibility section under the extracurricular portion, and then just highlight how that experience has kind of helped shape you, right? Beyond that, beyond family responsibilities, we're not looking for a particular extracurricular. We really just want to see, what are you involved in outside of the classroom? So those extracurricular, are you in clubs or organizations? Do you have a part-time job? You can definitely highlight that on your application as well, because that's where your time is going when you leave school. Do you have any religious involvements that you're involved in? Highlight that on your application as well. Now, again, when we say family responsibilities, we're not talking about taking out the trash, doing the dishes. That's not what we're looking for in that section. Again, are you helping take care of that family member? Do you have a duty to watch your younger siblings after school because mom and dad have to go to work? Highlight that as part of your application, okay?
And I would also add, many of you here are involved with CBOs, or community-based organizations. And as someone who used to be an access advisor for a college access CBO in Chicago, I do know some programs will have mentoring opportunities, or even tutoring opportunities for other students in your CBO. So make sure you're listing that kind of experience as well. But even if you're just volunteering, or not just, but if you are volunteering in your community, maybe it's not through a more formal aspect like the library or your church, but maybe you led the community in, cleaning up garbage that was around your block. Or maybe you led a petition to sign people up to vote. So it can be in informal ways too, but we're really just looking for, how are you leading in your community already? Since for us at Michigan in particular, leadership is a super big quality that we want to have in our students who come to campus.
I saw a good question in there, Lehman, you might be able to answer too. A student asked, how does homeschool students look in the process, or how are they handled in the admissions process?
So I haven't worked with homeschool students directly, but we do have a couple people on our team who works directly with homeschool students. So what I can do is go ahead and provide a link to our contact us, so you can get in touch with your specific recruitment personnel from your area. Homeschool is on a list, so if you are homeschooled, you can go ahead and reach out to that individual, ask them your specific question. So I'll provide that link right now in the chat for you.
There's a great question here about how would our school deal with consider a student who is undecided about their major. And specifically, they're wondering if choosing undecided as your major of interest on your application negatively impacts your admission to college. And I would say it does not. But you do want to be talking about your different academic interests. aside from going to school because your parents or grandparents told you had to, until you're 18, we really want to know about what makes you tick, because this is really our chance to get to know you on paper, since we don't get to meet all of you in person, unfortunately. So really use the extracurricular section like we talked about to talk about some of your academic interests in the essays. And you can, in your essays, even talk about a project or a play that you wrote for class, or a story that you read in your history textbook or English class that really impacted you and made you think about the problems you want to solve in your community, or made you think about something differently. I would say some of the best essays that I've read have really captivated me, and just getting in to see how the student is thinking. And you definitely show that best on paper through writing. So I don't know if either of you have anything you want to add.
Yeah. So I think if you're applying to schools that have specialized programs like the School of Nursing, or if your school has a kinesiology program, and that why that specific college essay portion for the common application, you definitely want to highlight specifics related to that program. So if I'm applying for the School of Nursing, for example, I may want to talk about why nursing specifically, right? Maybe I volunteered at a local hospital, or maybe I've had some other experience that really motivated me to pursue a career in nursing. A lot of schools may be looking for some sort of direct related experience to make sure you have that nice exposure, because a lot of those programs do have specialized curriculums where you may be taking nursing classes as a freshman. So the more specific you can kind of get in why nursing or kinesiology or whatever that specialized major you're interested in, I think that can help make you a more standout candidate for admission.
And I did see some comments in the chat about not being good at writing, which is totally okay. I think you're just not good at writing yet. Yep. But in the meantime, because the essays are some of the major ways we get to know you as a student and your personality and what makes you tick, do make sure you get some teachers or mentors or counselors from your CDOs to proofread those and give you their feedback. Especially anyone who really just knows you well as a student and as a person, and as a leader in your community. Sometimes they see things that you can't always see, or that you might miss yourself. So I would say definitely get even just a peer who is also applying to college, and maybe writing is their thing. Have them look at it, but definitely you want to have multiple eyes on your paper.
I saw a question that I think is pretty good. It says, how do our colleges help students figure out their true destined career? And so, and I think that's a great question to ask any college that you're applying to. And so, specifically at the University of Michigan, we have our University Career Center that students can begin doing career exploration appointments with as soon as they get to campus. But then also every student works with an academic advisor. And so, that those are really great folks who know about the different academic programs that are available to you. They also know a lot of students' pathways, what they've studied and what they've ended up doing. I know that our College of Literature, Science, and the Arts has the Opportunity Hub, and most of our academic units on campus have some type of career development center in addition to the Central Center. So if you are looking for career exploration opportunities and ways to get connected and do different things, there are tons and tons of opportunities across campus to engage in that exploration while you're on campus. So there's not a lack of help to help you find that destined career at the University of Michigan.
And I would also add, the best way to learn is by doing, right? So whether that's going to study abroad or doing a volunteer experience, here you can do it in Ann Arbor or nearby Ypsilanti. I mean, for me as a student, that was how I found my love of education and learning more about urban ed issues when I was in school. So I would say the sky's the limit, and really be on the lookout at at your school, wherever you end up, in terms of different experiences you can tap into. And also make sure to access the alum network while you're a student. I did not think about alumni when I was a high school student, because I was just like, I need to get through my finals and into college. Like, I'm not trying to think about where I'm going to be as an alum, 5 years from now. So, but they're there and they're so excited to talk to you. And you can talk to them as a current student. So I definitely, again, got connected to alums at Smith through our career office. And that was a great way to talk to people in my field, because I didn't know anyone personally in college access or urban education. And even just asking professors as well, telling them about my interest in college counseling. They were able to connect me to college counselors they knew in the area, and then eventually in Chicago when I moved there. So use those connections that you make on campus.
And so I know that we're coming up on time, but we had one last question I thought would be great for Lehman to, since you are an undergraduate alum. One of the students asked, how is campus as an undergraduate student? And so I guess we can use that to take it on out.
Man, campus, I would say it's definitely different. So I graduated in 2012. So campus, one, is totally different today than what it was even 8 years ago. So much more to do, so many more innovative ideas, so many people who want to work with you, who want to collaborate with you. I would say campus is very collaborative and not competitive. There are people, again, willing to work with you to help get your ideas up and running. There are different ways, like our Center for Entrepreneurship. If you have an idea you want to bring to life, definitely use that resource. There are different ways, campus life, student life, athletics. Even if you're not into athletics, if you're into the arts, there are different things like musicals and shows that you can get involved in, or even if you want to just go out and watch with a couple friends, you can do that as well. So much more to do, so much to do in Ann Arbor, the city itself. It's more than 300 restaurants. I'm a big foodie. I love to eat. So if you're ever in Ann Arbor, you're ever visiting Ann Arbor, definitely try to hit up. One of my personal favorites is Frida Batidos. Some really good street Cuban burgers, really, really good, highly recommend. But again, there's so much to do on campus. There's never a dull moment as a student on campus. So you always have something to do no matter what day of the week it is.
And so I think at this time, I believe Erica from College Greenlight is going to join us to kind of wrap this thing up.
Hi, can you all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for your time, for sharing all of your infinite wisdom with our students. I hope you all have been taking some notes, but if you haven't been, that's okay, because we have been recording, and we will send the recording after the sessions, and also the slides that they were sharing along the presentation. So yes, thank you all so much. And to piggyback just a little bit off of your all's presentation, and to reiterate, really, students, take some time to think about your passions, because at college, there's a lot of opportunities. Even the smallest thing that you want to learn, you might find it on your campus. You never know. So really dive into the things that you're interested in, the things that you love, the things that you're passionate about, because you might be able to learn a lot more on whatever school you end up at. So yay. Thank you all so much.
And I just wanted to say, I know it is a really crazy, chaotic time out in the world right now for a multitude of reasons. So I'm hoping that everyone in this chat can take care of themselves in any way that they need to, and stay strong and focused, even with everything going on out there. And we really do look forward to reading every single one of your applications. I know I saw some chats going on the side. Do they really read every application? Yes, We do. We can definitely confirm that we do.
More than once.
Yes, actually, that is true at Michigan, especially. More than once, we have to look at these applications. So we do look forward to hearing about all of your experiences that you've been involved with throughout high school and the summer. And we hope everyone stays safe. So.
Thank you. Thank you. CJ, any last minute words that you'd like to throw in the mix?
I just say, like Danielle say, take some time for self-care. And, I know this is very difficult for you all with the pandemic and everything that's going on in our country right now, but just know, whatever you need to do, if you need to disengage, if you need to engage, whatever that means for you, do those things. I know right now I'm getting ready to log off, pack my bags, and go visit my family because I haven't seen them since this whole pandemic has started. And so that's what I need right now. And so I challenge you all to take care of yourselves and your family and your loved ones.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much. So to the audience, before we get to the next presentation, don't forget to fill out the survey at the bottom of your page. It says complete feedback survey. It should take no more than 2 minutes, but tell us your thoughts. We want to make sure that we're giving y'all the content y'all looking for. So once it's completed, though, don't go anywhere, because next up we have our next presentation with Harvard. So stay tuned to learn more about finding your best fit college. It all comes together. And while you're waiting, don't forget that we have our #1 scholarship, #1 fan scholarship available for you all, worth $1,000. So all you gotta do is just take a selfie. You could do that now, just pull up the phone, take the selfie, and still part of the online college block party. Let us know what you're enjoying. Don't forget to hashtag CBP Summer 2020 or hashtag College Greenlight on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So sit tight. We'll get ready for the next one.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all so much. Yes. All right. So if you all, I want to see what's going on in the chat room. Yes. They did such an amazing job. Let me see if there's anything that I can share with you all. So yes, we will, like I said, we are recording the sessions and they will be sent to your email addresses. All right, so we're about to get ready for our next presentation. I'll see you all there.